Hey, what's going on? Dr. Gonzo Boogie here again, and this is my celebration video for making it past 500 subscribers. And again, I want to thank all you guys for subscribing, for leaving comments, for giving thumbs up. It's all really awesome and very much appreciated, and just, thanks for supporting the videos and everything. Keeps me wanting to keep making them. So I was having a hard time thinking of what to do for this video, so I decided to go with a top 10 list, and I'm sure if you clicked on the video, you already know the title of the video, what the top 10 list is. But originally I was going to do my top 10 favorite movies, but I tried to do a list like that dozens of times, and I always have a hard time doing it because I just find it really hard to pick what my top 10 favorite movies are. Like, there's certain movies that I know are in my top 10 favorite movie list, like Blade Runner, Videodrome, Alien, stuff like that. I know those movies are up there, but then there's other movies that it's harder to pick because some of these movies I like for nostalgia reasons, some of them I like because I think they're really well done, and it's just hard for me to make a list. So I've always had a really hard time making a top 10 favorite movies list, but I'm going to try to do that for one day. But for this time around, to celebrate the 500 subscribers, I figured I would show you guys my top 10 favorite Anchor Bay horror DVD releases. And I picked this because Anchor Bays are some of my favorite DVDs to collect. They're really what got me into collecting weirder, obscure horror movies. Some of these movies I don't think I would have even known about if it wasn't for the Anchor Bay releases, like some of the Italian horror movies, because the releases Anchor Bay put out is basically what got me wanting to buy them, which led me to watching them and everything. So, and another reason I wanted to do this too was because one of the reasons I made this channel and one of the reasons I started to watch YouTube videos and to make my own was because of people's Anchor Bay videos. Those are some of the first videos I watched that had to do with DVDs, with people showing off their Anchor Bay collections. And back in the early 2000s, Anchor Bay was the shit. Like, nowadays you have Scream Factory and Blue Underground and a bunch of other cool companies like Synapse that put out great horror releases. But back in the late 90s and definitely the early 2000s, the first almost 10 years of the 2000s, Anchor Bay was just the best when it came to horror releases. They put out some of the best titles, Evil Dead, Halloween, all those, and they just did really great additions, special features, good artwork. You get just everything about it was cool. So I wanted to do a video to celebrate kind of all that in one. Getting the 500 subscribers too, but also just to celebrate kind of what got me into this whole thing, which was Anchor Bay horror DVDs. So I'm going to show you guys what I think are 10 of my favorite in my collection. Towards the end, I kind of cheated and I picked a couple, counting as one. So I have more than 10 Anchor Bay DVDs here to show. And I didn't include any box sets because I just did a video probably like 2 weeks ago where I talked about my favorite horror DVD box sets in my collection. I showed all my Anchor Bay sets off. So just to stop myself from being redundant, I figured I would exclude my box sets from this list, which if I had the box sets in this list, I would have shown the Dawn of the Dead one, the Sleepaway Camp one, and Suspiria 3-disc, because those are 3 of my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs in my collection. But I just did a video talking about those, which I'll post the link for that video in the description for this if some of you guys watching haven't seen that one yet, because I show off some of my other box sets too. But I'll stop wasting everybody's time and I'll get into this video. So start off here. This is the number 10 pick in my top 10 Anchor Bay releases, and this is Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. And this is probably my favorite Peter Jackson movie. I actually just rewatched this recently, and this is just a fun, low-budget horror movie splatter flick. You can tell Peter Jackson, I think, had to be inspired from Evil Dead. Evil Dead is just such a great low-budget horror movie. I feel like he kind of set out to do something similar, and he put a lot of time in this movie. in the special features, they said something like he spent 2 years or more making this movie. Peter Jackson wrote, directed, he plays a character in this. He does the special effects, and I think he edited this movie too. So you can just tell he put a lot of heart into this. And even though it's just a wacky alien story, it's a really fun movie, and for the budget it had and the energy and creativeness that people put into it, it's really well done. I just love this Anchor Bay release too, which is the reason why I picked this. I just think the artwork is great, and this is kind of the harder to find edition where he's actually flipping the bird, giving the middle finger on the cover, because there's a censored version where he's just giving a peace sign or something like that. And actually, when I bought this, it had the censored one, but it actually came with a reversible artwork, which had the uncensored cover, which I thought was really cool, because I know not every edition comes with that. I don't think every edition has the reversible artwork, because I actually think I used to have an older edition of this that didn't have that, but I can't remember. But this is just a great movie, really cool, definitely worth making my top 10 Anchor Bay list. Alright, next up, number 9. This is the 2-disc of Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, and I really like this edition of this, and I really like this movie too. This is probably one of my favorite Wes Craven movies. I'm a big fan of this and The Last House on the Left, probably 2 of my favorite movies from him. And this is a really cool 2-disc edition. This is a little bit harder to find than the 1-disc version. This has a really nice, shiny gold to it. It just has a cool shine to it. Even the Anchor Bay logo is silver, so it just looks nice, and it's just cool 2-disc set with an awesome booklet. But I've just always liked this edition. This is my favorite edition of The Hills Have Eyes. This is the first copy of this movie I ever owned. I got this for Christmas one year. This was years ago. I've actually had to rebuy it since then because I didn't have it anymore. But I just remember when I got this for Christmas. This is actually one of the earlier Anchor Bay DVDs I started to get that wasn't Halloween. I would say one of the more obscure, weirder horror movies. And I bought the Evil Dead 1 and 2 around that same time too. So this was when I first got this was when I was just starting to get into collecting weirder horror movies and everything. So I just always this DVD release always have a soft spot in me. You know what I'm saying? In my heart, and I really like it. Awesome DVD and awesome movie. Alright, my number 8 pick is actually a DVD that I just got in the mail today. And I was hoping I would get it in the mail in time for this video, because this is an Anchor Bay release that I've been wanting for a while. My friend Mike picked this up a while ago. He actually does YouTube videos too. I'll put a link to his channel in the description for this video if you want to check out his stuff. But he had this DVD, and I just always thought it looked awesome, so I always wanted it for my own collection. In my opinion, this is the ultimate way to have this movie on DVD or any format, in my opinion. But this is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. And this is a really sick Anchor Bay release of this. The cover of this is just awesome. It has, Pinhead and some of the other lead Cenobites hanging out. Just an awesome picture. I love the little rainbow banner at the top. For some reason, that just makes it even cooler, in my opinion. And this is a really old Anchor Bay release. This actually has the logo for the company that I have a couple of VHSs with this logo, and I'm guessing that was Anchor Bay before they became Anchor Bay. I'm not sure what the name is, because it just says RG Video or something like that. I'm not sure, but I've seen that on some VHSs of Hellraiser and other movies that Anchor Bay has put out. So that's one of the only Anchor Bay DVDs that I've ever seen that logo on. So I think that's weird. Definitely an early Anchor Bay release. It's from '98. And it's just really cool. I mean, it's got a great insert that has a full picture of the Cenobites. I'll show you guys just because I just got this myself and I think it's awesome. Right there. And boom. Right there. Just awesome stuff here. Can't say anything bad about this DVD. And I really like Hellraiser 2 Also, the first two Hellraiser movies are definitely the best, and this one I think is almost a little bit more enjoyable than the first one. It's a little bit more fun in a sense. The first one is like a very strange, intense film. This one is a little wackier, but still very dark. But I love the first two Hellraiser movies. Sorry for that random edit right here. Forgot to turn the ringer of my phone off. Alright, so back to where we left off. This is my number 7 pick for my top 10 Anchor Bay releases. And this is Alice, Sweet Alice. And this is a mid-70s slasher movie. I would say this is very reminiscent of a Italian giallo movie from the 70s. I think this is actually an American-made horror movie, but you can just tell it was really inspired by the Italian giallo. It just has that same sort of vibe and same sort of flavor to it, I guess. But this is a really cool slasher movie, interesting and a little bit different. I really like the mid-70s and 70s slasher movies because they're a lot like grungier and more hardcore than the 80s ones, which were a little more campy and fun, I guess, sometimes. But this is Alice, Sweet Alice, but I picked this one for my list mostly just because for some reason, I really like the artwork on this. I'm not sure why, because they don't use the original movie poster design, but I just like the way this looks. What they did with some of the images in the movie and put them together, I just think works really well. And because of that, it's always kind of been one of my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs in my collection, so I felt like I had to show it. It's the insert, which is also really nice, with the original artwork for it. And this movie was like released twice, if I remember. It was released like later. It was released like in the mid 70s, and then later it was released under the title Alice, Sweet Alice. Like later in the 70s, they cash in on the fact that Brooke Shields had like started to get famous at that time because she was in this movie before she had really been in any big pictures, so they re-released the tie-in with that, and I think that's when it was renamed Alice, Sweet Alice, but I might not be right about that, but that's what I remember. Alright, next up is my number 6 pick for my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs in my collection, and this is Zombie from Lucio Fulci. And I really loved the artwork on this. When I first started to collect Anchor Bay DVDs, this was one of the ones I felt like I had to get. And I actually have 2 copies of this, and this is a copy that I actually bought later on. This is actually an older release from Anchor Bay. This is also from '98, so this is from the same year that Hellraiser 2 came out. So this is one of the older Anchor Bay releases, and I tend to really like the older Anchor Bay releases for some reason. I like the way they had their packaging laid out, like the layout of the text and everything. I really like the way it looks, and I always like the way they laid out the covers and designed them. Like they used, the zombie poster here, which if you don't use the zombie poster for this movie, it's like, what's the point? I know there's a couple Blue Underground releases that use a different picture, which those ones do look pretty cool, but this is just an awesome poster right here. I would love to actually have a poster of this to hang on my wall, but yeah, I think this copy is actually hard to find, this older Anchor Bay release of it, because I've never really seen it pop up on eBay before. Every time I look for Zombie, it's always the other release of it, the one that everybody has, the one that I have a copy of too. So I found this one at FYE once. It was used for like $20, which was kind of pricey, but I picked it up anyways just because it looked cool. I thought it was probably rare. That's Zombie. Alright, my number 5 pick for my Anchor Bay video is Dario Argento's Tenebrae. And I really love this movie, one of my favorite Argento movies. And I just love this DVD release. I love the way it looks. I love how they use the original artwork, but I really like the colors black, white, and yellow. They're 3 of my favorite colors to work with. I do paintings and other stuff and artwork and crap like that, and I just always really like those colors, and I just think it looks really cool on here. Just an awesome looking DVD for a great movie, and if you've never seen this movie, this is one of Dario Argento's crazier movies, but this is one of his 80s movies. So it has like an awesome 80s vibe to it, and some really awesome synth music in this movie too. But one of the coolest things in this movie that has always stood out to me is there's a scene in this movie where this one woman gets her arm cut off, and it's the coolest arm getting cut off scene I've ever seen in any movie ever. And I wouldn't do it justice describing it, but it's worth seeing that scene alone. But the movie itself is a great movie, so if you've never seen this one, definitely worth checking out. Great gore scene in this. Alright, my number 4 release is another Argento movie, and this is Phenomena. Again, I love the way that this DVD looks. Just like with this one, they used the original movie poster artwork, and I love the way these two DVDs look together too. I was going to combine these into one, but I ended up splitting them up into their own parts on the list just because I like them so much. I felt like they deserved it. But I just think these look really cool together. This is part of the early Dario Argento collection releases where they kind of had the same font, same banner type thing at the top with a film by Dario Argento. So these look unique next to each other, so I think that's really cool too. And these are two of my favorite Dario Argento movies. These are some of the movies he made in the 80s. This one was Tenebrae was 82, and this one was 84, and 84 was a great year for movies. So many of my favorite movies happen to come out like around that year, like 82 and 84. Just a year of movies I like good section for movies right there for some reason, in my opinion. But again, just love these two DVDs, love the way they look, and because of that, they're some of my favorite Anchor Bay movies in my collection. Alright, next up is my number 3 pick, and I actually have 2 DVDs to show in this one, and actually for my number 2 and my number 1 pick, I have 2 DVDs to show for each one. So I kind of cheated here, but I did that just to show you guys more Anchor Bays and show you guys more of my favorite ones without having to expand the list to a top 20 list, which I just thought for at least me was just too much to put into the video because I just didn't want it to get too long. So I was just trying my best to do something like that. So alright, anyways, here we go. Next up, number 3 is Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2. And both of these movies are awesome. 2 of my favorite horror movies. Again, these are some of the movies that really got me into collecting and just really got me into watching just weirder, different horror movies. And, these are just 2 of the best. Like I was saying when I was talking about my Peter Jackson's Bad Taste DVD, in my opinion, these are probably 2 of the most influential horror movies for like a young horror movie director who's wanting to get started, because you can just tell they had so much fun making these, and there's so much creativity put into these because these are low budget horror movies. They didn't have a lot of money to work with. They didn't have a lot of time. They probably didn't have a lot of, special effects or anything. So it's just fun to see what they did with what they had. So really happy to have these in my list because I love both of these movies. And this is the older Anchor Bay release of Evil Dead 2. Again, this is from '98. So I'm guessing this is when Anchor Bay put out a lot of their earlier DVDs was in '98, and I just always loved how they used the poster here with the skull on it. I know there's a newer DVD you can get. I don't think it's from Anchor Bay. It might be that uses this cover again, but the old Anchor Bay release is the way to go, in my opinion. This is the ultimate DVD copy of this movie, in my opinion. It doesn't even have any special features, just a trailer, but that's what I'm saying is this movie's so awesome. That's all you need with it. Great insert, and I just love that skull image. I've said it before in my videos. They could have slapped this skull image on this packaging 5-6 more times, and I still wouldn't get tired of looking at it. Just an awesome picture right there. And this copy of Evil Dead is actually the regular copy that you always see. Mine just has this random little slipcover on it that is from Anchor Bay's The Horror Legacy series, which I'm guessing is probably like a generic thing they did around like Halloween time, where they just threw some of their titles, re-released them with little slipcovers like this, which I think is cool. So I've kept it just because it's different, and I don't see too many people with that. But this is the, the classic copy of Evil Dead. This has the ladies of the Evil Dead booklet. And I actually have some of my other Evil Dead booklets in here. Like this one came with the Book of the Dead Necronomicon release, which is the little rubber book of the first Evil Dead movie they put out. They also put out Evil Dead 2 like that. I used to own both of those, but I bought those early on into when I was collecting when I was still younger, and I didn't take care of my stuff as good as I do now. I really try to take good care of my DVDs now, and I try to make sure that they don't get scraped, and I always try to make sure the discs are clear and everything like that. And my actually old copies of the Necronomicon got ruined from me and my friends just looking at them and having fun and just tossing them around and crap. So I actually don't have those anymore, but I kept the insert because it was a really cool insert that told the whole history of Evil Dead on like video release, from like VHS, Laserdisc, all the way up to DVD. It's got like the whole history of Evil Dead's like home video release. And there's actually a video of a VHS tape which I own a picture of. I actually have that tape. And there's some other cool stuff in here. So awesome. Really cool. Kept that. And then, like I said, it's got the ladies of the Evil Dead insert. So this is just awesome. Great addition to this movie. And one of my favorite horror movies ever. Definitely one of my favorite Anchor Bay releases ever. Right. Okay, so now we're doing number 2. These are definitely two of my favorite Anchor Bay releases. That's why they're this high up on the list. And this is Halloween 4 and 5. And I love these two movies. They're my two favorite Halloween movies to watch, even though I really like the first 3 Halloween movies more as films. I think they're better movies. I think they have like a great pace to them. John Carpenter produced all of them and wrote the first 2, directed the first one, and did the music for all 3. And they just, all 3 of them feel like John Carpenter movies. So I always consider that the John Carpenter trilogy. But 4 and 5 have always had a special place in my heart, and I've always really liked these movies. These are like the first 2 Halloween movies I remember seeing. I remember watching these on TV a lot around Halloween time, and I used to rent these at the video store when I was a lot younger. So I've always really liked these. And when I think of the Halloween series, these 2 movies tend to pop up in my head first, since I've seen these ones first before I saw John Carpenter's original Halloween movie. So I'll just show you guys the 2 editions separate real quick. This is an older copy of Halloween 4, again from '98. So that might have been the first year Anchor Bay put out DVDs. Not sure, don't know everything about Anchor Bay, but I just go from what I learned over the years, you know what I'm saying? But really cool here, classic insert and everything, just how you want a copy of Halloween 4 to be. And again, they did a great job just using the basic movie poster, not messing with it, not adding anything, just, great with that. And love the artwork on the back of this too. Really, really cool here. And this copy of Halloween 5 is just as awesome. Really awesome. Love the spine, the orange Halloween font. Really cool. And there it is. So these are some of my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs. Whenever I look at my collection, I can't help but pull these 2 out and take a look at them. Alright, and for my number 1 pick, this was hard to do, but in a way I kind of knew what I was going to pick, because this is one of my favorite movies ever. Not just one of my favorite horror movies, but just in general, one of my favorite movies. And this is Dawn of the Dead But just like the last two, I picked another movie to show in this one, which is Day of the Dead, because I figured, how can I talk about my Anchor Bay of Dawn of the Dead without talking about my Anchor Bay release of Day of the Dead? So this is the U.S. theatrical cut of Dawn of the Dead, this is the same release as the copy of Dawn of the Dead you see all the time with the zombies head on the cover. This is just an older release of this, and this is from '99. And I've always really liked the cover of this. I remember that I think the first time I ever saw this was in one of Cool Duder's videos years ago, one of his early videos when he was showing some of his favorite Anchor Bay horror releases. And I just remember seeing this and automatically thinking it's cool and wanting it. So this was one of the Anchor Bays I always wanted, and I didn't get around to buying this until recently. I got this one probably like a year ago. I think I got this one probably around Christmas time. So I was really happy about this. And Dawn of the Dead is just one of the best horror movies ever. It's basically, they took the same ideals and everything from Night of the Living Dead, which again I think is one of the greatest, most influential horror movies ever, and just put it on a grander scale. And in my opinion, this just makes it George Romero's best movies and just the best zombie movie ever. Like, there'll never be a zombie movie, I think, held in higher regard than Dawn of the Dead. It's just the way it is, in my opinion. And really cool, classic, old school little Anchor Bay release here. Really awesome. Love the insert for this. This is the chapter selection side. And then the other side is this cool, probably like a foreign poster maybe release for this, but really cool anyways. Awesome stuff here. Dawn of the Dead, and really quickly I'll just show you guys the copy of Day of the Dead. And I've shown this off in a bunch of my videos before. This is one of my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs. I love the way this DVD looks. Just, you got the zombies on there, you know, the image from the poster still there, but I like what they did with it. Even though the poster for this movie is awesome, one of my favorite movie posters ever, because I love how it features night, dawn, and day. It's got the whole trilogy all in one poster, but I think this cover works just as well. I like the zombies. I love like the blue-gray tone to it. Works because that's the color of the zombies in the movie, and I just love this. This is actually one of my favorite Anchor Bay DVDs, so I think it works fine that this is the last one that I'm showing in this video, because this really is probably one of my favorite ones again. And again, this is from '98, so it's one of the classic releases with bare bones features. Just comes with the trailer. I have a 2-disc release of this too, so I have another release with more features. Some of these movies I have more releases than one of them for, like Dawn of the Dead, of course. I have a couple copies of this Anchor Bay releases of Dawn of the Dead on DVD. I got the box set too, so. But really cool. Love this DVD, and that was the Anchor Bay video. Sorry that I ran on a little long here. But again, like always, if you guys liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. And thanks for watching.